Hey everyone, and welcome to, we can't call it Lunch with Libert today because it's actually evening, so we could almost call it Libations with Libert. We just ended a fantastic event right here at EXIT Strategy Realty. We were discussing the Automatic Millionaire Homeowner. We gave away some copies of this book tonight. If you don't yet have the book, it is absolutely crucial you'll get it. It is something that everyone, whether you're a homeowner yet or not, you're going to want to read this book. It's teaching you all about being an investor and coming from an investor mindset, whether it's the roof over your head or you're ready to buy your first 2 to 4 unit building, or you're going to turn your condo into your first rental property as you upgrade to your next home. It's not about just buying a property and living in it. It's about living an investor lifestyle where as you go and you upgrade homes over the years, you actually keep your previous property. So you have a cash flow income property, you're building long-term wealth, and when you go to retire, you don't just have what may or may not be your 401k plan and things like that, but you have an entire investment portfolio based upon real estate. So my good friend Hanek, our crew, is here tonight. He's going to talk to us a little bit more. He's one of my favorite lenders. You may already recognize him for a couple of my other investor-based videos, but he's going to talk to us about what exactly is a cap rate. As you go into this whole real estate investment mindset, us real estate agents and the general public, we're going to throw out some conversations out there, some terms, and one of them is going to be called cap rate. Cap rate is a hugely important factor in what you decide to buy as an investment property, and the more that you buy, the more you're going to want to figure out how exactly to determine this number. So he's going to share with you the equations for it. He has been my lender on some of my fix and flip properties. As some of you guys already know, I'm also going back into the buy and hold arena. He is a wonderful asset to me and to EXIT Strategy Realty. So I'm actually going to get out of the way. But before I do, if you don't yet have a copy of this, talk to your EXIT Strategy Realty agent. They will be able to send you one. If you are working directly with me and Team Libert, just email concierge@nicklibert.com. We will send you your copy directly to your house, or I will actually pop by with it myself. But I'm going to turn it over to my friend here. He's going to talk to you a little bit more about how to determine cap rate.
Great, thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for spending your time with us this evening to go over cap rate, which is always a very fun and exciting topic that I enjoy getting into. So just by way of introduction, when we're talking about cap rate, it's really, cap rate is just the rate of return that you can expect on your investment based on the income that the property generates. There's really, no mystique to it. There's nothing really unique about it. The formula is the formula. What I want to kind of talk about and touch on really is about the meaning behind the cap rate. And what does it mean to you specifically if you're looking to either list a property utilizing cap rate as an equation, or whether you're looking to acquire a property and cap rate is a part of the consideration you're taking into whether or not you want to make an offer on that income producing asset or not. So in terms of the formula itself, in terms of determining what the cap rate is, I'm going to put that on the board just to make it a little easier so you guys have that. So sorry to give you my back for a little bit, but it's just NOI divided by sales price. It gives you the cap rate. And you're going to have to excuse my penmanship because I got a C in the 2nd grade in penmanship. So yeah, you're going to have to deal with that component. So what does this formula mean? How do you come up with a cap rate on a property? NOI is net operating income of the asset itself. And then the sales price is the price that it's listed for. And then that's how you get the actual cap rate when you divide the sales price into the net operating income. So let's give a real life example to make things a little bit easier, okay? So let's say there's a 10 unit property that you're looking at, and the net operating income of that 10 unit property is $65,000, okay? So we're gonna put $65,000 as the net operating income of that 10 unit property. And let's say it's listed for sale at $600,000, okay? So the sales price on that is $600,000. So basically you're dividing 65,000 by 600,000 and you're going to come up with a cap rate of 10.8%. You don't have to worry about running the numbers. I already did that for you a little earlier, okay? So that's how you come up with the concept of the cap rate for a particular investment property, the return that you can expect based on the income of that property. So the income on this, and I'll give you just a little note, 10-unit property, the income is $65,000 annually. What goes into the net operating income? The net operating income is all of your expenses factored in. So that asset needs to control the asset fully and pay everything off fully. So your maintenance, your insurance, your property taxes, your income taxes on the property, any shoveling, any kind of capital expenditures, all the things that go into maintaining that property. After all of those things have been fully funded, what income does that property generate that's paid to you? Now, it doesn't take into account anything that has to do with the mortgage, so we're going to sideline the mortgage. It's just based on the asset's performance itself. So in this scenario, the cap rate comes in at 10.8%. Okay? I'm going to give you another example so we can work through the numbers one more time and come up with two different examples, and then I want to talk about the meaning behind the cap rate, why the cap rate is so important, and why you need to understand what goes into the cap rate to make a determination whether or not that asset really makes sense for your client or for yourself. Okay? And I want to give two side-by-side examples of that. So we're going to do another example. I already mocked one up, so I'll write it out. The net operating income on the other asset, let's call it a 12-unit in that same area, is coming in at $52,000. That's after all of the maintenance costs, all of the different aspects of the cost of the net operating income have been factored out. It generates $52,000 annual income, okay? And let's say that property is listed for $525,000. So it's listed for $525,000. Your cap rate in that scenario, it's $52,000 divided by $525,000. It's going to give you a 9.9% cap rate, right? And so we can all get excited about when we see these kind of cap rates. These are pretty phenomenal examples, and it's rare that you're going to come across these types of cap rates, right, in the marketplace. But when you look at it, you say, okay, 10.8% return, that's a higher return on my investment. So I would absolutely go with this. But what goes into the calculation on the net operating income? So if somebody's really squeezed all of the cost-saving opportunities in that asset, right, and maybe they haven't done any of the capital expenditures that they needed to. They didn't repair the roof, or the HVAC needs to be reworked, or there's landscaping that's not being done adequately. So it's under budgeted for the needs of that building. From when they're looking to sell, the cap rate looks great, but if you acquire that asset, and you have all of these expenses that have not been maintained, and now you have to kind of maintain that, it's actually going to eat into what your income potential from that asset could potentially be. That's just a hypothetical scenario. Whereas, say, another property with a smaller cap rate, right? Maybe they put in the capital expenditures, and maybe that asset may come out to be a little bit stronger in terms of performance as well, too. So it really depends. You got to kind of use this as a tool to assess whether or not you want to look further into that asset. And if you want to look further to that asset, then you need to get the net operating income on that subject property. Look at it line by line item and see where either it's overinflated or under accounted for, and then see if there's some value for your client or for yourself within the context of that asset. And I would venture to say, if the asset is at 525 and the cap rate is 9.9, but you're walking in and you don't have to do any capital expenditures on that asset, it might be a better performing one to keep than one where the cap rate may look high, but you're gonna have to inject a lot of capital to maintain that property. Okay? So again, just to do a quick recap on cap rate, right? It's the rate of investment that you can expect on your investment based on the income that's generated from that property. All right? And so that's really what I wanted to cover and kind of really take a look at. When you're looking to list a property, right? So say somebody comes to you and says, hey, Nick Libert, I've got a 12-unit property that I want to list. And I kind of want to see if I can get, $525,000 for that asset. What Nick Libert would look at is, since he's selling this for me, on the selling side, he's going to look at recent listings in the area that's sold. It doesn't have to be an exact match. It's just got to be close enough. right? So if it's a 10 unit compared to a 12 unit, it's close enough. The asset type is pretty much in the same area, and it's listed. You would look at the cap rates on the listed properties in that area, and it's easy to get because it's listed with somebody. So you reach out to them and say, hey, can you give me the cap? Can you give me the net operating income on that asset? And then you can do the cap rates and say, okay, Enoch, the cap rates in that area are going for 9%, right? Or we say 9.9% the average. So your operating income is $52,000. If you divide the 9.9% into the $52,000, you come up with the $525 valuation, and that's what you listed as for me. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
It makes a lot of sense because then now you know what to value that asset at.
And by the way, guys, I do want you to know real quick, when I hop back in here just for 1 second, you're probably going to be stuck with me for the rest of the our time together, is that these are wonderful numbers.
Yeah.
The higher the cap rate, the more profitable the investment for you. So you're obviously looking for the higher cap rate. As you tend to go into the city's core, if you're in the Chicago market or if you're in any major metropolitan market and you're in a very vibrant area that tends to have very high rental rates and things like that, your cap rate's actually going to go down. And the reason why is that there's less risk for the investor.
Yes.
You're paying a lot more for the investment, so therefore your cap rate's going to go down. So we use some wonderful cap rates here. Please note that if you talk to us in, for example, Lincoln Park or Lakeview, you're probably not going to see a 10% cap rate. If you do, please call me immediately. I will buy it myself.
You're lucky at 7% cap rate.
Exactly. So it's just so you guys know, these are great examples based on some wonderful cash flow properties. But you do want to focus on within a neighborhood. If you see things at 4 and 4.5%, and over you see something at 6 or 6.5%, that is the better investment. So I just want to tip you off to that.
And if you're listing, it doesn't really benefit you to go with the highest possible cap rate scenario in that equation. Because really, when you're listing the property based on cap rate, if it's 7%, and I'll be remiss, I don't have my calculator, but if you go with a 7% cap rate on this, the actual listing price goes up to $681,000 or $650,000, whatever the numbers work themselves out to be. So the lower the cap rate, the higher the valuation of that asset in terms of sales price when you're looking to list the property as well. So it's kind of a unique kind of push and pull scenario in terms of how you come to the cash valuation, but it's really market driven, and it's, again, I don't want you to get hung up on cap rate, whether it's 10.8 or 4.5. You as the agent or you as the investor know that neighborhood. You know the opportunities that exist in that neighborhood. You know the changes that are coming as well too in that neighborhood as well. And so it's still, this is just one tool to assess whether or not you want to look deeper into the asset itself.
Exactly. So this is the second time we've been together on a video, and again, you guys know that this is one of my main lenders, especially on my investment properties. I only have a few, and there's a lot of people knocking on my door and knocking on your door too, so I hope you'll join us again. We will be back together again for another round of this when we're going to be talking about ROI, return on investment. That is a whole other formula that is, we will be back with this marker board in this format.
Better penmanship.
Better penmanship, maybe it's still going to be him doing the numbers because he's better at the math. But together we are going to bring you this ROI investment analysis next. And if you have other ideas, we would love to hear from you. I'm going to tag him in this video. He and I are going to be doing more together. And then feel free in the comment section to say this is other numbers that we'd like to know, other math pieces that we'd like to know, because what we're finding out is there's a lot of talk about investment out there, but there's not a lot of talk about the numbers. And these are the numbers that the banks want to know, and these are the numbers that as you get further and further in your investment portfolio, you're going to wish you had known. Things that I wish I had known when I was younger. Yeah. Some of the early projects we did together, I didn't do the math right. And didn't do the math at all sometimes. And so these are the numbers that are going to protect your investment and make you an amazing financial future. Yeah. So thank you as always, my friend, for being here today. Thank you guys for tuning in. And for those of you guys, again, that did not get the book earlier, please come and get the book for me. Email me, concierge@nicklibert.com. If you're listening and you were not one of my clients, but an EXIT client, talk to your EXIT Strategy Realty agent. We're going to have more events like this soon. Thank you so much.